A very good morning to you. How are you doing? I hope that you're well, you're healthy, you're happy to be here. I'm also very happy and glad to be here. An amazing Wednesday on the 9th of October 2024. An amazing time to be here. Tulisema wiki yetu yuanza on Wednesdays because this is where we talk about health and we make sure that we've started our week healthy. All right, so I hope that you've been well right from the weekend. Tulikuwa pamoja on Saturday on TV and radio on SNS, and I hope that you've been well on Monday. Your week has started very well on Monday and Tuesday, and now we are here for yet another beautiful show on Afya Clinic, and today we'll be having an amazing topic that I will be introducing in a very short while. Karibuni sana. This is MBCI TV ambapo tunabadilisha maisha by the grace of God, and my name is Kahugu. Now, today we have a lot ambayo tumeweka in line for you, and of course we will be starting with the health updates where we'll be telling you what's happening in the health world, okay? That's very important. And then after that, of course, we'll be getting into the In History segment where we tell you about the history of the topic that we are talking about today. After that, our guest will be joining us and we will be talking about mental health. Mental health is a very crucial topic, because if your mental health haiko vizuri sana, then that means that everything else you do haitakuwa in line, haitakuwa up to standard, okay? So today we'll be talking about mental health, so anything that you'd want to ask, please feel free. And today our guest will be the one and only Catherine. Of course, kama wewe ni mtu wa Facebook, umeona the poster mahali pale, and of course you know what we will be talking about. But our numbers ni zile 0721-105-105-23814. Of course, we are live on Facebook, on MBCI TV Facebook page. We're live on YouTube, on MBCI TV official YouTube page. So on all those platforms, you can only send in your message. We'll be sure to get back to you. But of course, kama kawaida, on all my social media pages at Rachel Kahugu, send in any comment, send in any message that you'd want according to the topic of the day, and we'll be getting back to you. But for now, we'll be getting into the health updates so that we'll get to see what's happening in the health world. Hey, it's very, very, very important. And today, on our very, very first news item, is that the Health Cabinet Secretary, Dr. Deborah Barasa, has called for an urgent action to address the high rate of maternal deaths caused by postpartum hemorrhage, that is excessive bleeding during or after birth. During the inaugural End PPH run held on the Ulinzi Sport Grounds on the 6th of October 2024, Dr. Barasa emphasized that PPH remains a significant challenge in Kenya, accounting to 25 to 45% maternal deaths. She highlighted that we need the need for a collaborative approach to tackle the issue, saying, and I quote, that we cannot allow women to continue dying from preventable conditions like PPH. Early detection and timely intervention can save lives. And that is why today's run is so critical. It symbolizes the beginning of a sustained fight to ensure that every mother gets the care that she deserves. Dr. Barasa stressed that while the country has made progress in reducing premature deaths, more has to be done. The event, themed Run for Her, Together Against the #1 Killer of New Moms, is part of a global initiative to raise awareness of PPH, which claims around 70,000 lives annually. Dr. Barasa expressed hope that the collaborative spirit seen at the event would continue beyond the race. The End PPH initiative brings together key stakeholders, including the University of Nairobi, the Kenya Obstetrical and Gynecological Society, and the Midwives Association of Kenya. And as you can remember, last week we had a discussion with Dr. Jemima, and we were talking about reproductive health. And she has a company that's called, I'll be letting you know in a few, and the company works with women just to make sure that women get to hospital on time and women are able to get to hospital when they actually need it. Because, as she highlighted, is that PPH mostly inakwanga due to getting to hospital late or not being able to get to hospital at all. And the initiative started on the 2020, yes, during the COVID time. So that tells you that there's a need for the End PPH initiative, all right? So Dr. Barasa and the team, an amazing job right there, okay? Now we'll be getting into the second news item, and it is about the Social Health Authority, SHA. And I know this is a news item that has been quite ongoing. And the updates about SHA is that the Social Health Authority, or SHA, rollout has encountered challenges due to contracting issues and problems at the facilities. The authority's chairperson, Dr. Mohamed Abdi, noted that delays in contracts between facilities and the SHA has led to some facilities to turning away of patients. Hiyo ninajua kila mtu ameiona. But Abdi clarified that while the authority has begun enrolling of facilities through the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union, KMPDU, these facilities retain the autonomy of contract. According to him, SHA has enrolled all facilities previously contracted by NHIF and communicated all necessary details for a smooth transition. Okay? As the new system, which was launched on the 1st of October, has been rolling out, now it has enrolled almost 6,000 facilities and they have been signed on. Abdi further addressed public misinformation that has caused confusion among patients and facilities. He dismissed the claims of dialysis patients lacking services at all facilities, stating that the total number of dialysis centers, around 230 in, say, maybe 10 or 20 at the most, were the ones which were pushing patients away. He explained that under NHIF, dialysis was covered at 9,600, which has increased to 10,650 under the new authority. Abdi questioned why patients are being asked to pay 2,700 when tariffs do not align with the contract. He added that the authority has established all call centers where patients and providers can seek clarifications to avoid misunderstandings, and has advised that for information about the new authority, individuals can visit the website to access details on the Act, regulations and tariffs related to SHA or SHA. So that is what we get today on the health update. For now, we'll now be going into the in history. And as I have said before, today we are looking at mental health. Doc will be joining us in a very short while. But for now, let's get the in history so that we'll get to see the background of mental health.
Mental health in Kenya reflects a complex journey shaped by colonial legacies, evolving policies, and contemporary challenges. This journey began during the colonial period with the establishment of the Mathari Mental Hospital in 1910. Initially designed for European patients, Mathari became the only facility for psychiatric care, offering largely custodial treatment rather than therapeutic care. African patients faced overcrowded and inadequate conditions, while mental illness remained poorly understood and highly stigmatized. Following independence in 1963, mental health services continued to suffer from neglect. The English Mental Health Act of 1959 remained in place, offering limited patient rights. It wasn't until 1989 that Kenya introduced its own Mental Health Act, aiming to decentralize services and integrate mental health into general health care. However, this legislation has not been updated since 1991, and Kenya still faces significant challenges. Key issues include an over-reliance on inpatient treatment and insufficient emphasis on patients' rights, consent, and community-based care. Mental health disorders now represent a significant public health crisis in Kenya. According to the Global Burden of Disease Study, mental, neurological, and substance use disorders account for the 16% of the country's total disease burden. Depression affects 4.4% of the population, and Kenya's suicide rate is 5.6% per 100,000 people. Substance abuse, especially alcohol, also exacerbates mental health issues, with over 10% of Kenyans engaged in alcohol abuse. Despite the growing need, mental health services remain critically underfunded and understaffed. Kenya has only about 1,114 psychiatric beds for a population of over 50 million, with fewer than 100 psychiatrists, most of whom are concentrated in urban areas. This translates to one psychiatrist per 500,000 people, while less than 1% of the national health budget is allocated to mental health. Stigma continues to be a major barrier, with many Kenyans attributing mental illnesses to supernatural causes and personal failure. This prevents people from seeking help and often leads them to traditional healers rather than professional care. In recent years, there have been important steps towards addressing these issues. In 2019, a mental health task force recommended declaring mental health a national emergency. In 2020, the president called for more funding and services. A new mental health bill, currently awaiting enactment, aims to improve access and decentralize care with a focus on community-based services. Kenya's national mental health policy also aims to enhance mental health services by the year 2030.
All right, we are back, and of course it's now top of the hour, so we'll be taking a very short break. As we come back, we'll be coming back with our doctor as we talk about mental health. Usiende mbali.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Unataka kuambia mtu kwa kizungu nimepigwa na butwa. Utamwambiaje kwa kizungu?
I have beaten by butwa.
You what?
Beaten by butwa.
Zakayo wakati alipanda miti inaitwaje?
It's about to go down.
Hiyo ilikuwa utamonywa mai. Monywa mai.
Unataka kuambia mtu kwa kizungu nimeshtukia nimefika. Utamwambiaje kwa kizungu?
I have afraid I have reached.
Utamwambia?
I have afraid I have reached.
Aya, wewe komba mwiko hutumika kupika chakula gani sana sana?
Shut up everybody. Listen.
Ugali. Ugali.
Na nini?
Na mokimo.
The Mountain of Fire Conference, in partnership with the Nairobi East Evangelical Ministers Association, NEEMA, cordially invites you to a dynamic and impactful conference from October 7th to October 13th, 2024. Join us daily at the Muhuri Mushiri Grounds, Embakasi Ruai, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Get ready to be inspired by a powerful lineup of ministers, including Bishop Moses Mbugwa, Bishop Mutunga, Bishop G. Njogu, Reverend Joe Nzenga, Reverend Ngede, Bishop Favor Kabera, and Reverend Kairu, among others. This 7-day conference is designed to dismantle evil territorial altars in our region. Shalom, and see you there.
Next on.
Nakwambia hizi ndo utaacha kuota elimu yake. Mwezi na akona bibi yake, mazee mimi niko tu hapa.
My friend, my dreams are married.
Kwa hizo nyumba ambazo zimeporomoshwa, pana one apartment ambayo ni yangu.
Imagine.
Na mahali hapo ndio nilikuwa natoa at least kitu kidogo. What do you think?
Ndio tu patiwe compensation na wewe niweze kukukomba.
Kwa hivyo meeting ya leo unataka bado nikusaidie?
Ndio.
Haya umesema ni vizuri. Lakini mambo haya ambayo tunayoifanya siku ya leo tulikuta yakifanywa na mababu zetu. Sasa taweza iwacha namna gani? Lazima tulie na yeye kama venye wale walienda mbele zetu walikuwa wanafanya.
Hii mambo ni ya kupanga tukienda sisi.
Nikikuja kwa ofisi yako una change
Unajua hata hawa watu wakituona wanauliza.
Yes, wanajua tunapendana.
We are young girl of your age.
Oh, so now you know I am
mzee kama mimi.
Hey.
Mkikutana hapa na Patrick,
tunaenda na wewe.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
All right, we are back after that very short break. I had promised you it's a very short break, no meona. Of course, you needed to go for that break so that you'd also to get to know about other things that are happening, you know. Now, we are back. Of course, this is Afya Clinic on MBCI TV, ambapo tunabadilisha maisha by the grace of God. And today specifically, we make sure that your health is okay. And on today's show, we make sure that your mental health iko sawa. All right. Now, my name is Kahugo, and as we're getting into this discussion, we'll need you to ask questions that you feel you'd want to ask, because we've realized that, as you've seen in the history segment, that mental health is at a very huge rate right now. Very many people are going through mental issues, and you probably don't even know about it. Yeah. So if you feel within the discussion, kuna kitu yenye imekuguza mahali and you'd want to ask, our numbers are very open for your questions. That is 0721-105-105 on WhatsApp, 23814. Our SMS code, which is absolutely free. Of course, you're live on Facebook, you're live on YouTube, pale MBCI TV. On the comment section, we'll be able to get your comments. Kama uko upande wa Facebook, you can get me on Rachel Kahugu. On the comment section as well, there's an amazing poster there. On the comment section as well, I'll be able to get your comments. Now, I'd want you to know the doctor that we are having today, or rather, the psychiatrist. Hey, jamani, atakuwa anakuja yes? Psychologist, yes. Atakuwa anakuja kutuambia about all that and what's the difference. Yes, psychiatrist na psychologist, because that's the other thing. So we'll be coming to look at that. But for now, I'd want you to know who Catherine is, so that as we get into the discussion, you will know who exactly we are talking to. And the beautiful part about this is that she is from Outspan. Nyote mnajua Outspan. And we've had Outspan here for so many years. Okay, let's just say so many times. We've had them here so many times. And every time we've had a discussion with them, imekuwa of benefit. We've had some of you enrolling kwa shule yao. We've had some of you going to their hospital na mmekuja with amazing reports. So of course, mnajua tukiongelea about Outspan, we are giving you credible information. But for us to get into the information vizuri, let's get to know who Catherine is.
Today, we are delighted to welcome Catherine Garashu, the head of Department of Psychology at Outspan Medical College. Catherine is a passionate mental health expert with years of experience in academia, focused on improving mental well-being and providing practical solutions to the mental health challenges we face today. Institution established in 2009. With a vision of becoming a medical university by 2026, the college is dedicated to training globally competitive medical professionals. It boasts a student population of over 1,500 and offers a wide range of healthcare-related courses. The college is also connected to Outspan Hospital, providing students with hands-on experience in a real healthcare environment. Catherine will be sharing her expertise on managing stress, building resilience, and understanding mental health better in today's fast-paced world.
Yep. We are back, and of course, now you have seen who Catherine is, where Outspan is, and what exactly Outspan does. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much.
We are very glad to have you here today.
I'm glad to be here.
Asante sana.
Yes.
Especially for the topic that we are tackling today. It's something that really affects so many people.
Yes.
And the funny part is, some people would be going through mental disorders and they don't even know about it.
That is very true.
Yeah, and it's very sad as well.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so please say hi to the people. That's your camera, and then you can start.
All right. Good morning, Kenyans, fellow Kenyans. How are you doing today? My name is Catherine Modhoni Garashu. As you heard in the introduction, I'm a mental health expert. Specifically, I am a psychologist. Have been working at Outspan as the head of department since Outspan Medical College began in 2009, where we train clinical counseling psychology, a 3-year diploma program. And I'm delighted to be here talking about mental health, and even so appreciative that such a topic is coming up over and over again, because for a very long time, mental health was considered something that we're not supposed to talk about, supposed to be hidden, or it's not as big of a problem. You know, people don't pay a lot, we're not paying a lot of attention to mental health, or they would feel like, si uongee tu, stress hata ni nini, maisha ni stress.
What do you mean uko stressed?
What do you mean uko stress? Maisha inakwanga hivyo, like vumilia, just kangumu, and life will be okay. Or on the other side, people would feel like maybe if you get a closer relationship with God, that will solve everything. Of which the spiritual aspect is also extremely important, but it can't answer everything that someone is going through, because, you know, just like we have the doctors for the physical health, we have you know, the spiritual leaders for the spiritual aspect, we also need professionals to be taking care of our mental health. People think about mental health only in terms of illnesses. Like, yani, kikiumana kabisa, ndio sasa mtu anafikiria ati, labda uende therapist or counselor or anything. But mental health is actually quite broad. It's very, very broad. From the way that you wake up in the morning, like now you ask me to salimia watu and smiling and saying good morning, that is a sign of mental health. So being able to wake up in the morning, being able to take care of your hygiene. That now when you wake up in the morning, I need to go and take a shower, I need to brush my teeth, I need to thinking about what you're going to wear, because you care about how you present yourself to the world, the way that you talk to your family, you know, vile good morning, mnaketi, mnakula breakfast, vile mnakula breakfast, mnaongea nini. Those are all signs of mental health. It's as basic as that. Lifestyle. Yes. Well, the way that you function every day. When you're getting out of the home and you're going to work and you're thinking about, what do I want to achieve today? You know, what tasks do I need to do? Or even for those who are in school, what is my timetable and which classes am I going? And then how do I want to show up in those classes? Or what do I even need to prepare in order to maximize my experience in that class or my experience at that job? Those are all signs of mental health. You know, when you're thinking about your friends, you know, let me call Mary or Suzanne, check up on them, see how they're doing, just have a conversation. Tomorrow is a holiday, what are we doing? That is mental health. It is as simple as that. So just like in physical illnesses, you have, I usually use the example of a common cold, So you may have a common cold, and depending on the symptoms, you decide, honey and lemon tea and ginger concoction, it will do. Maybe I get a bit of rest, you know. And then itaisha. But if the symptoms get a bit more persistent, or they last a bit long, or they become more intense, you're like, labda wacha niende kwa chemist and get some over the counter, maybe some drugs, you know. So you might get maybe some lozenges, you might get some decongestant, you know, and you try that and you're like, okay, maybe it has now gone away. But then maybe it doesn't go away and it persists, or the symptoms even become worse. Sasa pale ile ilikuwa kwa throat, maybe it has moved to the chest. So you decide, I think wacha tu niende nione daktari. So ukienda kuona daktari, atakupima, atakusikiza, and then he might decide that, okay, let's give you some stronger medicines than what you had before. And maybe that also works. Or it doesn't work. So what happens? You go back to the doctor and he says, I think now this might not even be a cold. So he might even do some deeper investigations and then tell you that now this one, let's admit you because it might be pneumonia now. Maybe it has moved to the lungs, or something has happened and now he admits you. So I would like us to think about mental health in the same continuum. You have people who may be having some symptoms where they're like, okay, I'm stressed, I'm a bit stressed, maybe I'm a bit overwhelmed, Maybe they went to work and they were added for another task that they were not expecting. And that became a little bit overwhelming. But maybe they talked to somebody who was like, you can handle it, you know, you've handled, you're strong enough, you can handle it. And they're like, okay, no problem, I think, you know, I think I can do it. And then they try to do it and maybe they don't do it so well, or they even get, or they go home and another stress happens. Maybe the kids have been, something has happened at school, you know, with the children, or maybe the wife is now having some problems and maybe another conflict happens. So now where maybe I could have handled that task I have gotten at work, if it was the only thing I was dealing with, now I have another additional stressor that has now come. So now I'm like, okay, I'm even more overwhelmed than I was before if I had just this one one thing. So maybe even talking to a friend and telling me I can handle it might not work. So maybe I might try something else. So maybe I write in my journal how I'm feeling, or maybe I decide I'm going to pray. Now, in addition to now having talked to a friend. So I've added my medication, all right? So then that works, and I'm like, okay, so we've decided what we're going to do about the kid problem. We decided what we're going to do about the wife problem. And we decided what to do about the
work problem.
The work problem. So then tomorrow is a holiday, so we decide, okay, let's go travel home. And tuone wazazi, vile wanakaa and all that. And maybe I get there and I find that my dad or my mom, who maybe is having a chronic illness, is worse. Okay? So remember, I still have the work problem, I still have the kid problem, and I still have the wife problem. The wife problem. And now I have a parent problem. So whereas with that individual, whereas if I only had one individual thing to deal with, I would have been comfortable dealing with it. I might have been uncomfortable a little bit, but with a little bit of support, maybe talking to myself about my abilities or my strengths, or talking to somebody who remind me about my abilities and strengths, I can handle that. But now I have another pile, okay, that has piled on to this one thing problem that I could have handled, you know, without without much strain. But now I have piled on. So whereas whatever you would have seen me or how you would have seen me, I may not have changed outwardly anything. You would not even have known that I have an additional work responsibility or any other thing that is going on. But now that I have multiple things, I may not be handling them very well. And this is where we might begin to start seeing symptoms. So maybe I start now quarrels. Okay, because I'm overwhelmed. So kitu kidogo inakutrigger. So now I'm starting to, where I would say good morning in the morning, sitaki kuongelesha watu. Now, because Friday is a working day, see, tuko holiday, nimeenda home, my dad or my mom is not doing well, but I have to report on Friday. And remember, I had an additional task that I was given on Wednesday. So now it's Friday, and how I would walk into the office and greet everybody may now change. Okay, so everybody will be like, I'm used to you saying hi to me. I'm used to you. Hata kunishughulikia ati holiday ilikuwa wapi, mlifanya nini? But now I don't want to talk to people. I just want to go direct to my desk and I want to do my work. Then maybe I have colleagues that are a bit closer to me, wakuje wanichokoze, leo ni nini? I snap at them, you know? Or maybe when they come to my desk to find out how I'm doing, they find me crying. And they've never seen me crying before. So now that's when you start to see that something is wrong. Okay? Something is not right. Because the way that I normally behave now has changed. The way I handle things has now changed. Now, at that point where I'm having these symptoms, they may not be as major to actually take me to the hospital. Because remember, we're on our continuum of a common cold. So they may not still be to that extent where I need admission, right? But now there's a weekend coming. So I go for my weekend. So my Friday is like that. It's not a very good Friday. People are noticing I'm not okay. But even the people around me might think, huyu tu ni tu stressed kidogo, atakuwa sawa. So weekend comes and maybe other things now come up, okay? Or the things that I have become worse, okay? Depending on how Friday was. Maybe that task had a deadline, the task was given on Wednesday, had a deadline on Friday. But because of these two small symptoms, singeweza kufanya. So now I have to explain why it is not done. So I've now created another.
You have to write a letter.
And then the work maybe was important in other things. Maybe it was affecting another person's project. So my part needed to be done ndio iendelee. Sasa haijafanyika vile ilikuwa ifanyike. So now my problem has become even bigger than just an additional task because it's affecting someone else's work. I have explanations that I have to give as to why those deadlines were not met. And maybe the task itself has become bigger because there's a time crunch now. So now I'm going into the weekend like that. My child, we may not have solved that problem completely. It might have been a stopgap.
Yeah.
So akaenda shule, sasa unajua tulienda home kwa shosho.
Yeah.
Si shosho hakuwa sawa, ikasumbua mtoto wangu. So Friday hakufanya shule vile alikuwa afanye vile tuliagree. Atafanya. Na it's a bigger problem. Sasa hata mwalimu ananipigia simu tukue na parent teacher, tukue na mkutane sasa Monday. Unaona sasa shida ilikuwa kidogo lakini by Friday sasa imekuwa imeongezeka. Haya ndio your wife.
Sasa
tulikuwa na to conflict. Si tulikuwa nilienda hope kulikuwa na to conflict. Tukapata shida zingine home. Maybe she feels I should be doing this differently and I'm not doing. It doesn't. Mama ko sick, unafanya nini? Tumpeleke hosi, pesa itatoka wapi? Anahitaji dawa, you know. This is now Friday evening and I'm going into the weekend in this state. So then my crying, my snapping, my conflicts now might escalate because now things have also escalated to the point where now I really need a professional help to, because now I may have symptoms where it might affect my sleep. So now I may not sleep or I may sleep too much or I may eat.
Also sleeping too much is also a symptom?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, or the sleeping too much, how it comes in, because I get this question a lot. It's not a refreshing sleep. You know, sleep is supposed to reset. It's supposed to reset you. So the tiredness of the day, upumzike, iyo iishe, ndio uamke asubuhi ukue na energy to deal with the day's problems. When you're having sleeping too much as a sign of mental health now deteriorating, is where you have had your full 8 hours of sleep, but you wake up tired, like you did not sleep, okay? And then you try, remember, I started by saying that mental health is the day-to-day functioning. Unaamka, you know, you wash your face and all this. And you're able to do that routine because you have energy. You have slept, you have refreshed, you have reset, and you're able to carry that routine because you have energy, because you have rested. Now, this is a person who is sleepy, has slept 8 hours. It has not been a refreshing sleep. They try to run their routine, they get even more tired. So anarudi bed. So they go and they put their breakfast, they can't return that cup to the kitchen, so they go back to sleep. So that is sleeping too much. So you're seeing, huyu alikuwa amelala 8 hours, na bado amerudi bed. But that sleep is not a refreshing
sleep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh wow. I didn't know that sleeping too much would also be a symptom. But as you're speaking, I'm also thinking that there are people who sleep as an escape because it's too much. I don't want to face that.
Yes.
So they decide it's an escape plan for them. Or as you said, they're just tired. They're just tired and they just want to sleep. And they would say, watalala, watarest kidogo, they'll wake up and continue. But as you said, ikifika hapo sasa, now you need a professional.
Yes, you need a professional help.
Okay.
So this is where now the doctor in our cold becomes the therapist, the psychologist. Okay. Now, what the psychologist will do, the psychologist will listen to you. Okay? So they will ask you questions that are guiding. The same way that when you go to see a doctor and he will ask, what has brought you here today? Similar. And I think we need to demystify this because also people feel like, kwenda kuona therapist.
No, that's the other part. Because I feel like people go to therapy when kimeumana. Kimefika mwisho, it's no bad. Actually, you're not even the one going to therapy. Unapelekwa.
Yes.
Because you're at your end. But maybe before we get there, because ninajua watu washaanza kwa therapy kweli ni must. So before we get there, maybe let's just get a look at some of the myths that are related to they're there, that are related to mental health. And then after that we'll be getting to see what you guys think about mental health as well. Remember, we are talking about mental health, and any question that you'd have, please feel free to ask. Hakuna question yenye ni stupid question. Tumesema it's a daily thing. So the small things that you feel like you're not able to do, hizo ndo tunataka uulize, and then you'll be getting an answer today. So the first myth is that therapy is only for those who are crazy. You see? You see? I told you.
Yes.
So is that true? Or
No,
not true?
it is not true. Actually, therapy should come in before you get crazy.
Okay.
It should actually come in before you reach that place. Because by the time now, where I was now with my analogy, by the time you're getting to the place where you are admitted, even with physical illness, it means that is a very serious illness.
For sure.
So by the time you're getting to being diagnosed with a mental illness, that is our ICU.
Okay.
That is our ICU in psychology.
So you have to diagnose yourself first by your daily routine, the fact that you're not able to do this and that. Usingoje mpaka uambiwe wewe tunaona hauko sawa.
Yes, this example of this person who got the task and was overwhelmed, and then they got home and the child had a problem with school, and they had a conflict with the wife. At that point, they could have called their therapist.
Okay.
As early as that.
Okay.
As early as that. And I even say it can even be as early as even before, because I know later we'll be talking about the work-life balance. Therapy is not even for only when you have problem. Therapy can also be for when I want to move to another level. You know, I have goals to achieve. I want a better life for myself. How do I get there? This is where I am, and this is where I want to get to, and I don't know how to get there. Therapy, it can be as simple as I want to live my life in a better way. And when I say better, I mean I want to actualize, you know, I have this dream, you know. Therapy can even be as simple as you have been in your journey with God and walking with God. You have heard God telling you that this is what I want you to do.
Okay.
You know, I want you to start a church. Okay? You're there minding your business, you know, tururu, waking up in the morning, going to work, like
as normal.
And then, you know, here you are in your journey with God and in your prayers, God has said that you're going to start a church. Where do you start? You know, you're just a person who goes to church yourself. You're feeling like, okay, I'm being shepherded.
So
you know, I'm just a sheep. The most maybe I have ever done is ushering, you know, or passing around the collection plate. I've never even had a position of leadership in the church. Ndio sasa Mungu aanze kuniambia ati sasa nianze kanisa. Therapy can help with that. How do I move from how I see myself as a sheep in the world, context. In that context, to now being a person who's actually going to start a church? That is not a problem. That's actually a wonderful thing where, you know, God is actually showing you that this is my purpose, you know, this is where I need to be. So counseling and therapy is not just for crazy people. And when we say crazy, I'm assuming crazy, we are referring to mental illness. By the time you're getting to it, just the same way like with physical illnesses, there's a starting point. There's always a starting point. We don't start with pneumonia. There are signs and symptoms that have happened way before it gets to pneumonia. We don't start with diabetes. You know, there's pre-diabetes and there are even signs and symptoms way before you even get to be pre-diabetic, to be at the point you're being diagnosed with diabetes. Mental illness is the same. There's a starting point, and when we deal with things at that starting point, it doesn't even become a mental illness in that sense. So and not to say, not to say that those with now diagnosed mental illnesses are not going to benefit. They will. They, you know, because that is what we treat. And now coming to your point of the difference between a psychiatrist and psychologist, like in your introduction, when I've gone to see the psychologist and they have asked me my questions and they have assessed me, and they have come to realize that I have depression, because depression has specific signs and symptoms. The same way vile daktari anakupima, they take a cluster of symptoms. Pneumonia si kitu moja tu. They ask you, there are specific symptoms that are there that the doctor then says, this is pneumonia. And those cluster of symptoms are going to be different than asthma, which is also an upper respiratory disease. We have a similar process. So depression has specific signs and symptoms, and the way that they show up And the number of those symptoms that are happening is what we then diagnose as depression. The same with anxiety, you know, the same with psychotic disorders. We have that. We have even, tuko hata na kitabu yetu.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, all the mental illnesses, of which now have specific symptoms that are linked to those mental illnesses. And then there's the way that we diagnose those mental illnesses. There are even assessments that we do that will tell us to confirm whether it's depression or not. So even one of the things that I really, really want to emphasize is hawezi angalia mtu alafu useme huyo ako na mental illness. The same way hawezi angalia mtu na useme hiyo ni pneumonia ama hiyo ni asthma. Maybe with the signs and symptoms utasuspect. Enyewe hiyo, it might be asthma. But you'll tell yourself, niende kwa daktari, ndio niambie for sure. For sure, for true.
For sure, for true.
Whether it is asthma or it is pneumonia, we do the same thing. Now, once we have done our process and we see that, enyewe, this is now, remember our ICU case, it's a mental illness. We might involve the psychiatrist at that point. A psychiatrist is a medical doctor, first and foremost. Okay, so they've gone through the whole training of being a doctor, and then they have specialized in mental health. Okay, just the same way when you go to see a gynecologist, they are a medical doctor first, and then they specialize in the reproductive systems. Okay, or the female reproductive system for a gynecologist, right? It's the same way. So psychiatrists wamechukua the whole area of mental health and they have specialized in it. The difference now with the psychologist and the psychiatrist is the psychiatrist can prescribe medication because they are a doctor. Okay? So with the depression, there are levels of depression that will need medication. This person, like I said, may not be able to, they are sleeping and it's not, remember the not refreshing sleep. And also remember, kuna cluster of symptoms. Now, these symptoms could be so severe to the point where the person is not able to get out of bed. Okay? They can barely function. They can barely get out of bed, barely even go to the bathroom, wash themselves and all this. I remember a case actually a psychiatrist was sharing with me where they had to put the bucket beside the bed. Ndio aende choo hapo. Because of how severe the depression was.
It would be that bad?
It can get to that level. Remember kuna ICU ya mental illnesses. Na ICU, simnajua vile ICU inakaanga. So it can be that severe. It's not as common anymore because of medications. So where the psychiatrist comes in is they're able to prescribe. They're also going to do their own assessments. In terms of now to be able to determine the severity of your mental illness, so that they determine what kind of medication you need to get on, because you don't have to get on all. There's a range of medication again. And I think it was a blessing I came here today, because I really want people to understand the same way you go to the doctor. Now, this particular diabetic maybe is at the level where they are injecting. But there's another diabetic that is on pills. And there's another diabetic that might be injecting insulin na pia pills. You get? So there are three diabetics here. Mental illness inakuanga hivyo. So kuna depression itahitaji this specific drug. Na ingine a different combination of drug. So the drugs will not everybody with depression will get the same drugs. And that's where the psychiatrist comes in to determine this particular depression inakaaje, and this particular depression inahitaji drugs gani, so that this person can actually be able to get out of bed, do the day-to-day functioning that we are taking for granted, to come for the therapy from the psychologist. Yes. Oh wow.
So it's a whole lot of discussion, and you have to really check on yourself, your daily routine, how you react to people, how you react to things. Because I feel like most of the people think it's just today I'm not just in the mood, and they don't realize that that could be the first step of a mental disorder that you need to be very keen about. Okay. Now we're looking at the myths. So that was the first. Na mmesikia that you don't have to get to the level 3 diabetes in terms of your mental disorder for you to get a therapist. And as you've said, which is very important, you can always talk to your therapist at the very first stage. Ile tu umeanza kufeel vitu zinakuwa extremely overwhelming and you need someone to talk to, at that stage, talk to your therapist, because then that means that you won't get to the point where now you need a psychiatrist, you need medication, because it can get that bad. And it's not the right thing to do. Now, on the Mythbusters, we have the first, maybe we can get the others, yes. The second one is that children don't experience mental health problems. Is that true?
No, it's not true. And it's interesting that this is coming up because we actually have a specialization that we train, where we train children and adolescent counseling.
Okay.
So, you know, we have students who, in our 3-year program, which I'd mentioned earlier, that we have a 3-year diploma in clinical counseling psychology. In their 3rd year, they pick a specialization. And one of the specializations that we offer is child and adolescent counseling.
Okay.
Now, children, why maybe people think that children do not have mental health issues is because children are different than adults. For adults, your personality, your character, even your physical growth is more or less done. If you're short, you will never be tall. You know, if you're tall, you cannot go back to being short. So your physical growth, your cognitive growth, your social, emotional growth, and you know, language, morals, all that is more or less now stable. It won't change much. It may, some aspects may change here and there depending on what you go through as an adult, but who you are may not change. But children are still growing, okay? And so children will grow across different domains, of course. There's physical growth, at the same time the cognitive growth is happening, the social-emotional growth, language, and the moral, they're all growing. So their symptoms are going to look different depending on the stage of development that this child is in. So if you're dealing with a toddler, for example, and maybe the toddler is having tantrums, okay? If the toddler is around 1.5 years to about 2.5 years, this is expected. That is what they're supposed to do at that stage.
So that's not an issue.
So it's not an issue. So one of the challenges that maybe parents have is that they first need to understand, how do children grow? Remember, children don't come with a manual.
So they're all different?
They're all different. And every child will be different. Firstborn, your first child, even your first pregnancy and your second pregnancy are different. Children will be different. So maybe what worked for the first child may not work for the second child. So that is one. So it's first is we train our students to first understand what is growth and development? How do children develop across all those domains? And then what is then considered abnormal? What is happening outside of the range? So with children, what signs and symptoms are you seeing that are telling you that my child is not behaving the way I am used to my child behaving? Keeping in mind that they are growing and that even these growth milestones are within a range. They are not stuck. Ati, lazima mtoto aongee by this time, lazima mtoto atembee by this time. They happen within a range
of time.
So the first question we ask is, okay, what are the things that you're seeing in this child that maybe are concerning, that are a concern for you, that are telling you that there's something wrong with my child? Is it that we had already completed toilet training and now we are back to bedwetting? Okay? That is a sign that my child is not okay. So when we are saying that children don't experience mental problems, we've already said mental health is about functioning, day-to-day functioning, CICU. So if my child now is 6 years old, 7 years old, has not mastered toilet training, that's a problem. What is happening? Or they had mastered toilet training and now it's back. We are back to square one with the bedwetting. Something has happened in that child's environment where the child now, the way that they're communicating is by bedwetting. That is the difference. Because they are still learning how to communicate, They're still learning language, they're still learning how to express themselves, even identify what it is. Even us as adults, we struggle with identifying our emotions and even communicating them. Mtoto je, and yet mtoto anafaa kulearn hizi vitu.
But for the kids, let me ask, what would be the reason for them to have mental health issues? Because of course for adults, as you said before, it would be work, it would be studies or family issues. But for a 7-year-old, what is the common issues that they face in life that would make them have mental issues?
If something has happened in the environment that the child is not comfortable with, it's actually as simple as that.
Okay.
A divorce, okay, that has not been handled very well, because we tend to think children should just be there. And we don't think that children have feelings. We don't think that children need, the routine and the structure, and they depend on these things. So when there's a change in the environment that has not been communicated very well or handled very well with the child, it can develop into mental change in environment, okay? And what I mean by that is, keep in mind that for children, because they are growing, they may not have learnt. They are still learning how to deal with things, how to deal with themselves, and how to deal with their environment. Right? Adults, we kind of have learnt in a way. But children are still learning. Then you add a stressor on top of that. Sasa wewe as an adult, vile wewe unashikwa na stress. And how it affects you. Now imagine a child who is still growing.
And so trying to learn how to handle emotions.
Exactly.
And all that.
Exactly. So something that you might be thinking with your adult mind that this is not a big deal for the child. With your adult mind. Because remember, for you have learned how to cope with things. That's why you're behaving the way that you're behaving. You're able to function the way that you're functioning. So we also cannot look at children as little adults, okay, who think and process information and problem solve and, solve conflicts the way we do. They're still learning how to do that. And they depend, remember I said they depend on structure and routine. It's very, very important for a child, structure and routine. So when there's a major change in that structure and routine that has been brought by other factors, it could be a change in school. The child has gone from day school to boarding. That is a huge transition for a child. It might not be a huge transition for an adult. It could be divorce or separation, okay? Which already, that in itself for an adult is a major, it's a huge thing for an adult. Now imagine for a child. It could be something as simple as an illness that is keeping them from school. So they have a chronic condition like asthma. It has just kind of come up or shown up. And we're all learning what it is. And they have asthma attacks. And they're having those asthma attacks during playtime. So they can't interact with other children. They have to learn how to carry an inhaler, how to even use it, how to identify the symptoms. Now imagine the things an adult goes through with asthma as a chronic condition, and even how they feel removing that inhaler. Mko team building, mmepelekwa team building with the organization, and then you're being told to run up and down ama mfanye tagovo when asthma yako hauwezi. Na watu wanakuangalia like, what's the problem? Why are you so delicate? So imagine mtoto who is supposed to be playing, because children also learn through play. Na sasa akona asthma. So we cannot first of all look at children as little adults. We need to understand that there's a growth and development process that happens. They are already going through challenges in negotiating the milestones. They are already going through that. That's already a challenge. Growth is already a challenge. It's already a challenge for the child. And then now you add
something on top.
So
that's mental illness on itself. Okay. On to our third mythbuster. So that tells you that there's a lot in mental health. It's not as simple as we think it is.
No, it's not. Like I'm sorry, I know we're going back to this, but again, I always use the analogy of the medical of the medical field. The medical field, you have people who specialize with children, pediatricians.
Yeah.
Yes. They have to learn about the anatomy of a child because the heart of a child is not the size of the heart of an
Yeah.
So the mind of a child is not the same as the mind of an adult.
Okay.
Yes.
Works well.
Yes.
Yeah. Now that works well.
Yeah.
So on to our third myth buster. So the second one was that children do not experience mental health problems. We've said that they do. You only have to learn the milestones of your kids so that you'll know when there's a change. Okay? So the third one is only people with severe mental illness need help. I think that we had tackled on the first myth buster as well.
Yes.
That only people with severe mental illness need help. But you said kila mtu.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why are we struggling? You know,
Baby, why are you struggling?
Yes.
As long
When
as uko na shida kidogo tu, you just
like
call your therapist.
Exactly. Like, why do you have to go through so much struggle? And maybe that is also one of the things that I admire about the Gen Z, because those are the questions they ask. Why are we, like, why do we have to go through so much to get to where we need to get to, when there's another way? You have people who are trained in this, who can help you, who can tell you this is how you achieve your dreams. This is how you cope with life. This is how you deal with a difficult boss. People trained, they do this on a day-to-day basis. So why are we struggling?
Why are we struggling?
Yes, why?
Good question. Good question.
Yeah.
So if you have any issue, make sure you just call your therapist.
Yes.
Now, this is a call for you to get a therapist, because
Yes.
most of the people, guilty as charged, most of the people, they don't have a therapist. Wanajanga tu bedhi kuna therapist fulani yuko Nakuru mahali, or Eldoret mahali, ama Nakuru mahali,
Yes.
Nairobi mahali, but they really don't have a therapist. But you said it's very important for you to always have that therapist, trained therapist, that you can always call,
Yes.
tell them about what you're going through, and they'll be able to answer. Now, I know you have so many questions, but before we get into that, let's get to see what you people think about mental health as well, and how you're able to cope with day-to-day life. Okay, so let's get them, and then we'll be coming back to tackle the questions as well.
What do you do when you have stress and anxiety?
First of all, I talk to someone who's close to me. Let's say, for example, a parent, a friend. Second thing, I involve myself in interesting hobbies such as dancing, singing, like reading storybooks, you know, to keep my mind away from thinking about the situation. Okay, the third thing, all I do is make sure, like, for example, when I have the stress, I get that company near to accompany me to make sure that I don't have that flashback about that situation that led to the stress.
Okay, mimi nikiwa na stress, nina relax kidogo. Kitu ya kwanza nimeokoka. Sasa nasoma Biblia, alafu naona hiyo emotion kwa spiritual realm inakuweka unakuwa umetulia. Lakini kwa mwenye hajaokoka, anafaa aende mahali kumetulia. Akiwasikia stress imekuja iko juu. Juu suluhisho si kujiua, kitu ya kwanza. Suluhisho ni ukae chini, ujirudie, alafu utafute mahali kuko quiet tu kiasi, ama utembelee mahali tu watu wenye unajua anaweza kuongelesha, utapata usaidizi.
As for me, I just sit by myself. I go just sit alone and just meditate by myself, and I'll be okay.
Personally, for stress, I break down. Crying is just something that is sort of a therapy to me, because I feel like releasing emotions, we all release emotions in different like ways. Some people eat, some people, you know, but for me, I cry. I really cry a lot. Then after crying, I just sleep. Fine, I know it will not take away like whatever is disturbing me, but eventually I'll feel like ni kama nime release whatever was disturbing me.
Yeah, so the last one hapo amesema that akikwanga na stress ana release through crying. But now I'm thinking, maybe you can tell us about it. There are people who are very emotional, and when they have an issue, the first instinct is to break down. They cry, and probably after that one, feel wako sawa, and they can go through their daily routine. Is that a way to handle it?
Yes, it is.
Just that?
Yes, absolutely yes.
Okay, because every time, you know, we had this discussion earlier, and I was telling a friend of mine that you don't just cry and then go along with your businesses as usual. You need to talk to someone.
Well, crying is a release.
Okay.
It is a release. You know, I think it was God's way of building a mechanism for us to release tension.
Okay.
I really, truly believe, personally, I'm not now speaking like a psychologist, but I feel like there are two mechanisms that God built in us that we are now able to release. And so crying, in fact, when you come into counseling and, you know, and you have, maybe you have a client who, you can see they want to cry, but they are wanakatiza. We really want them to cry. Tunataka walie. Hata hatutaki hizo wapanguze hizo machozi until they are completely done. Because life can get overwhelming. It can. And, you know, again, I think I don't want to give the impression that, you know, life should just be all sunshine and rainbows and we're all just laughing. Life can become overwhelming even in different seasons. And even when it's not at the place where I need to talk to someone about it. And so I feel that we have some mechanisms inside of ourselves that help us to release. Maybe for me, it is really, really crying and getting it out. For somebody else, it could be laughing, you know, watching a comedy and funny things, and they wacheke, alafu waone, ai enyewe, it's okay. And they release. Mtu mwingine could be exercise. They go, they punch something and punch it, ama they run. And when they come out from that run or that particular exercise they're doing, wako sawa. Or they dance and dance and dance. Wanaweka praise and worship, they worship and they want. Actually, I've even had some people say, for me, when I'm feeling like kuna kitu inanisumbua, I put the saddest songs. Ndio sasa nilie vizuri. Because they can't just cry on their own.
So they
or they put a very sad movie.
And then they cry.
And then they cry. And the next day they wake up, they're like,
wako sawa.
na
I actually
tuendelee.
had someone else say that what they do when they're extremely overwhelmed, they'd go for a road trip or just anywhere that they'd connect with nature. And now they'd just look at nature, see how things are. They'd break down, they'd cry. And then they come back to the society, very happy and energetic. I'm like, hey, blessed are those.
I really, really think that we need to move away from expecting that people will be happy all the time. I think the human experience includes sadness. It includes frustration. It includes when boundaries, you know, having to set boundaries because someone has crossed them. That is all human. Human is not just about happy, joy, and let's just laugh and be happy and, you know, maisha iko sawa. I think, and especially as Kenyans, you know, we are really so... you know, you ask someone, you niko sawa. So they are drowning. They are really
it's usually a blanket answer.
How
are you? I'm good.
Yes, but I think the human experience is all those things. Is that today I may be a bit sad. Tomorrow I may be a bit frustrated. Tomorrow, the other day I might be a bit overwhelmed. It's all part of being human. Otherwise, I think if God meant for us to just be happy, that's how He would have created us. But all those things, all those emotions that you experience, they all have a purpose. When you are sad, it's telling you that there's something that is happening that has affected you. It's normal. You know, if I have a loss, I have lost a friend, and it doesn't even have to be death. It could be that there's a change even, in fact, let me talk even about sadness, even from a positive thing. I have been promoted, I've received a promotion at work. That is an elevation. It means I am leaving my friends behind. My colleagues who we used to be at the same level, I'm leaving them behind. That is sad. So I'm happy that I have been promoted and it might mean more money, but it also means that my relationships at work will change. I have now another set of colleagues I have to get used to who are at my level, and then I have lost colleagues that I had at this other level. That is sad. You know, and it's okay. It's okay because that is actually acknowledging that those people meant something to me. You know?
So it's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. It's absolutely not a bad thing. Hata hiyo vision nilikuwa nayo at the beginning when I said God has told you to start a church. it means you're going to leave something.
Yeah, to start something else.
To start
that is
something
better.
else. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, I know we're going to be talking about work-life balance.
Yes.
Which is also such a huge issue to talk about. But before we get there, there's this issue about stigma. For people who are going through stress, they're going through mental illness or mental disorders, and every time you talk about it, you talk like, when mwanaume uko na stress, what do you mean? Or you hold such a high position, where would you be stressed?
Yes.
And people face stigma in terms of mental health or mental illness. So how are you supposed to tackle that?
Part of tackling stigma is being here today and talking about mental health, because stigma comes from ignorance. It's stigma when we fear what we do not know.
Yeah.
And when we fear what we do not know, we're going to behave in ways that are stigmatizing, that look down on people because we don't understand what it is.
Yeah.
So tackling stigma is about information, and it's about tackling ignorance. People need to know what mental health really is. Like what I have said, it's your day-to-day function. It's your day-to-day functioning. And if you're being able to function, you showed up where you are supposed to show up, looking presentable.
As you should.
And you talked to people, you interacted with people in a way that was socially acceptable. Your mental health is okay. So first, we really need to we need to tackle stigma by tackling ignorance.
Okay.
So, and one is information. Get informed about what mental health really is. Get informed about what mental illness really is.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I'm here today, and that's why I'll always come. Anytime you call me, I'll come because I'm happy to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. The other part of tackling stigma is training the professionals who can now deal with mental health. You've said earlier that, people, basically everybody needs a therapist.
Yeah.
It's not just for mental illnesses, right? Which means that we need even more therapists.
Yeah.
At the beginning, when we started this segment, you talked about how many psychiatrists, leave alone even the psychologists. We have about 100 psychiatrists who are supposed to serve 54 million people. Now imagine how many psychologists we have. We don't have many.
Yeah.
There are not enough psychologists even to handle what they need to handle.
Yeah.
So we need more people trained in this field so that they're able to service or give the services that are there. Some of these issues can be tackled even in groups, which is cheap. It won't cost you as much as maybe individual sessions, because another myth is that therapy is expensive.
But isn't it expensive?
When we begin thinking about therapists, about something that needs to be part of my life. So if I look at it like a bill I need to pay every month, because you will have counselors who will be okay with you paying for your sessions monthly.
Yeah.
They don't have a problem. So if we can budget for that 3,000 shoe.
Yeah.
If we can budget for that 2,000 handbag, if we can take ourselves out for a very nice meal, and we don't have a problem spending 2,000 to pay that on a meal, or a road trip.
Yeah, the road trips.
We don't have a problem contributing for chamas. We don't have a problem every single month putting aside 1,500 in our chamas as a saving plan. We have the money. Okay, we have the money to commit. Yes, to say that this one, the vile nalipa stima, vile nalipa maji, nalipa rent, the way I have a budget for what I'm going to buy for my closet this month, and what I'm going to spend for my entertainment, be it a movie, be it whatever it is, you can have a budget line item that says therapy every month and make a commitment to that.
That's very important for you.
Yes.
And just as you said, I'm thinking it's very important to look at it from the point of it is my well-being that I'm looking at, which is more important than money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And your therapist can also help you on how to make more money to pay her or him.
Right. Strong point there.
Okay, so yeah, so if you need, you know, because again, that is one of the issues that is facing people today is the economic situation, you know, and what to do. And therapy can actually, you know, again, therapy is not just for I'm overwhelmed and I am overwhelmed and stressed because of my economic situation. How do I make more money? How do I bounce back? I've been tamarking for, you know, 5 years. What do I need to do? What am I doing different?
Yeah. I love what you said before, that therapy would help you change your mindset. Yes. Because the issue that you're having is having a mindset that, hey, life ni ngumu, I actually can't make it. Yes. Things are getting extremely overwhelming. So you said with therapy, you're able to change your mindset and be positive about everything. Yes. And then, of course, you know, when you're positive about everything, then that means that everything will work out. Okay? Exactly. So the problem is us being very negative. So therapy is also for you to change your mindset. All right? Now, it's top of the hour. It's 9 a.m. We'll be taking a very short break, and then we'll be coming right back. As you come back, we'll be getting to see your questions, to answer all your questions. We said our numbers are very open, 0721 105 105, 23814, MBCI TV Facebook page, MBCI TV official YouTube page, and Rachel Kahugu official Facebook page. So on the comment section, we'll be getting all your comments. We are having Catherine from Outspan, and she'll be able to answer all your questions. An amazing discussion that we've already had. Tukirudi tutakuwa tunaendelea kutoka hapo. For now, let's take a very short break.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Unataka kuambia mtu kwa kizungu nimepigwa na butwa. Utamwambiaje kwa kizungu?
I have beaten by butwa.
You what?
Beaten by butwa.
Zakayo wakati alipanda miti inaitwaje?
It's about to go down.
Hiyo ilikuwa utamwonywa mai. Monywa mai.
Unataka kuambia mtu kwa kizungu nimeshtukia nimefika. Utamwambiaje kwa kizungu?
I have afraid I have reached.
Utamwambia?
I have afraid I have reached.
Aya, wewe komba mwiko hutumika kupika chakula gani sana sana?
Shut up everybody. Listen.
Ugali. Ugali.
Na nini?
Na mokimo.
The Mountain of Fire Conference, in partnership with the Nairobi East Evangelical Ministers Association, NEEMA, cordially invites you to a dynamic and impactful conference from October 7th to October 13th, 2024. Join us daily at the Muhuri Moshiri Grounds, Embakasi Rai, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Get ready to be inspired by a powerful lineup of ministers, including Bishop Moses Mbugwa, Bishop Mutunga, Bishop G. Njogu, Reverend Joe Nzenga, Reverend Ngede, Bishop Favor Kabera, and Reverend Kairu, among others. This 7-day conference is designed to dismantle evil territorial altars in our region. Shalom, and see you there.
Next on.
Nakwambia hizi ndo utaacha kuota elimu yake. Mwezi na akona bibi yake, mazee mimi niko tu hapa.
My friend, my dreams are married.
Kwa hizo nyumba ambazo zimeporomoshwa, pana one apartment ambayo ni yangu.
Imagine.
Na mahali hapo ndio nilikuwa natoa at least kitu kidogo. What do you think?
Ndio tu patiwe compensation na wewe niweze kukukomba.
Kwa hivyo meeting ya leo unataka bado nikusaidie?
Ndio.
Haya umesema ni vizuri. Lakini mambo haya ambayo tunayoifanya siku ya leo, tulikuta yakifanywa na mababu zetu. Sasa taweza iwacha namna gani? Lazima tulie na yeye kama venye wale walienda mbele zetu walikuwa nafanya.
Hii mambo ni ya kupanga tukienda sisi.
Nikikuja kwa ofisi yako una change
Unajua hata hawa watu wakituona wanauliza.
Yes, wanajua tunapendana.
We are young girl of your age.
Oh, so now you know I am.
Mzee kama mimi.
Hey.
Mkikutana hapa na Patrick.
Tunaenda na wewe.
Really apologize for last time. Ndio vitu hazikwenda vizuri. And I feel guilty.
Ndio kuna kitu imekuwa kinisumbua for a long time. Ulisa tu come here. Uko sure uko ready?
Ask anything.
Mom, it's about my dad. Niko 99% sure ya kwamba Mwinyi ndo babangu. So mimi tu nataka.
Let me explain it. A gift that your eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, and your mind has not imagined.
How does it feel to have a dad? Like telling him my worries, my joy.
Waridi jangwani.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Thoughts and emotions can relieve stress and help you gain perspective. While alone time is important, social isolation can lead to feelings of loneliness and depression. Make an effort to connect with others, even if it's just through virtual means. Number 3, practice stress management. Mindfulness practices such as meditation helps ground you in the present moment, reducing feelings of being overwhelmed or stressed. Even a few times of mindfulness can have positive effects. Managing your time effectively can reduce stress and increase productivity. Break large tasks into smaller ones and set realistic goals to avoid feeling overwhelmed. Engage in activities you enjoy such as reading, painting, gardening, or playing an instrument. Hobbies provide a healthy distraction and boost your mood. Number 4, develop healthy thought patterns. Cultivate a positive mindset by focusing on your strengths and accomplishments rather than dwelling on your shortcomings or failures. Practice gratitude by recognizing the things you're thankful for each and every day. When negative thoughts arise, ask yourself if they are rational or realistic. Reframing your thoughts can help reduce anxiety and improve your mental outlook. Perfectionism can lead to high levels of stress and self-criticism. Learn to accept that mistakes are part of life and aim for progress, not perfection. Number 5, maintain a sense of purpose. Setting short-term goals and long-term goals can give you a sense of purpose and achievement. Volunteering or performing acts of kindness can increase feelings of happiness and satisfaction. Helping others also provides a sense of connection and meaning. Number 6, seek professional help. Therapy and counseling. Speaking with a licensed therapist or counselor can be a powerful way to address mental health challenges, process emotions, and develop coping strategies. Therapy is not only for crisis, but also for personal growth and self-understanding. In some cases, medication may be prescribed by a healthcare professional to help manage conditions like depression, anxiety, or bipolar disorder. If prescribed, it's important to take medication as directed and maintain open communication with your doctor. Connecting with others who are experiencing similar mental health challenges can provide comfort and help reduce feelings of isolation. Many communities offer support groups for anxiety, depression, addiction, and other mental health concerns. That is it in Healthy Living. My name is Sylvia Wanjo.
Okay. All right, we are back, and of course you've heard on the Healthy Living what you are supposed to do to make sure that your mental health iko sawa, okay? And I love what Sylvia has mentioned there, that you should set realistic goals, because I feel like that's also something that really affects our mental health.
Yeah.
We want to go big on everything, and sometimes it can be really overwhelming.
Absolutely.
So it's okay to have the huge goals, but break them down into realistic goals, okay? Now, we are here with Madam Catherine, and of course we are talking about mental health. She is from Outspan, an amazing school, and of course it has a hospital. And before we get into the details, because we are answering your questions as well, we'd want to know, you've mentioned that there's a course in psychology.
Yes.
And as you've said in the discussion, there's a shortage in psychologists.
Yes.
So if you're out there and you'd want to do psychology, please tell us about how they join Outspan to do that.
So psychology as a course, we offer a diploma in clinical counseling psychology. It's a 3-year diploma. Entry requirement is a C-,
Okay.
and it is examined by NEC. External examination is by NEC. It's offered in a modular system where we have module 1, 2, and 3 running over the 3 years.
Okay.
And then we teach you module 1, and then you have your practical experience with the hospital, and then you sit for exams.
Okay.
And then we train you module 2. You come back to class, we train you module 2, and then we send you to the community because there's, like I have said, not all problems come to the hospital.
Yeah.
There are a lot more problems in the community than there are in the hospital. So the first practical experience will be at our hospital, and then the second practical experience will be at the community level. So in the schools, in the high schools, primary schools, as well as health centers.
Okay.
And then you come back to class to specialize. And our program has 3 specializations. So I had mentioned earlier that we have child and adolescent counseling, because that is, they're different. They're not little, they're not little adults. We also have marriage and family therapy, because again, there are a lot of problems that are coming up or show up in families. In fact, when I was thinking about coming here and talking to young adults and what issues they're facing, a lot of the issues are related to family. And so we train our psychologists to be able to specialize in handling family problems, relationship problems, and things like that. And then the third specialization that we have is chemical dependency counseling, which maybe is another thing that you need to invite me back. So that's
we will,
because we've seen mental health is so wide,
really wide,
and there's so much to talk about. Because another way of escaping, we talked about people who are sleeping so much because that's when they escape. But another way that people use to escape is substance abuse. Drinking and using drugs is a way that they numb the feelings that they have, they escape from the feelings that they have, and it's a very big problem, especially with a young adult. Actually, it's across the board. I don't want to limit it to just young people. And you know, people don't understand that first and foremost, when you begin using drugs to deal with a problem, that's where you stagnate. Pale uliacha hiyo shida kama, maybe let me, I'm sorry, I'm going on about it, but when, for example, you started using drugs because you lost someone through death, you did not mourn, okay, and then so you stagnated. And then now you caused another problem, which is the substance abuse, because it will have an effect on you. It will affect your life. It will affect you and it will affect your life. And thirdly, you are also stagnating your coping mechanisms, because now anytime I feel a certain way, I reach for the drink. Anytime I'm going through something, you know, so I don't actually learn how to cope. So you've stagnated in 3 ways. So ile siku utaacha ni kama the time that you have been using those drugs haiku happen. That death will feel like it happened yesterday. That coping, the life will now feel even more overwhelming, because remember, you have stagnated your coping mechanisms, and then you may have created additional problems in your body and in your environment. So it's a huge problem, because drugs actually, they do make you feel, they do serve that purpose of escape. For that time that you're drinking, you're not thinking about, you're not actually thinking about what is happening, because these are things that have a direct effect on the brain. So we train on how to handle substance abuse problems, how to prevent them and how to treat them as a specialization. And also, maybe I can announce this here, because the last time we did not have it, is we also now have a rehab called the Outspan Serenity Center. Yes, because again, we as Outspan, we respond to the needs of the community. We started the Department of Psychology because there was a need. We did not just start it for the sake of it. We knew that there was a problem, and the problem was a mental health problem. We knew people are coming to the hospital that don't have to come if they got the right help. And they're developing physical symptoms because they're not dealing with their mental health. And so that is why we began the training psychologists, because there was a huge need, and there's still a huge need. And the other need that we have identified is the substance abuse need,
Yeah.
and we have responded by having a rehab that is a 90-day facility. 90-day facility that has everything. You know, you come and you detox.
Okay.
We assess you. We give you the mental health assessment, and we have a psychiatrist. We have basically it's a holistic program that looks at the issue from the top to the bottom. So
Okay.
from detox all the way to the very end.
Ah.
And even after you finish the 90 days, there's an aftercare program where we follow you up. Because you see, we've taken you from your environment and we have treated you, but you must go back to that community.
Yeah.
So we have an aftercare program where we follow you up and make sure that you have reintegrated back into the community, you become a productive member of society. And if you're going through some struggles and some temptations, because, you know, when I'm used to doing something for years, there'll be a temptation to go back, which is what we call relapse. We will be there. We will be there to, you know, walk with you and to help you too, and remind you why you stopped in the first place. Ndio usirudie. Yes, so that is Outspan in a nutshell. We have the college. We have the hospital. I know people are very, very familiar with the hospital because it came first. And then the college came, and now we have a rehab.
Okay. Now let's go back to the college kidogo. Apart from psychology, maybe you can just mention all the other courses. And then you'll be telling us about if you guys have an intake and how people can enroll for that. But first, what are some of the other courses that you guys offer at Outspan?
So we are a medical college. So, of course, we are going to have a diploma in clinical medicine. We have a diploma in nursing, both registered nurse and registered community health nurse. We have health records and information technology. We have health service support. Very, very important course. And my colleague will be talking about it on radio today. So stay tuned, because people really give up on their medical dream when they do not get the grades. But there's now hope. And it's a course that has really, really opened up the field, because these are people who are even going abroad, even faster than the nurses. So please stay tuned. Stay tuned to hear about the health service support, because it has also met a very critical need that was there, that was not being fully met by the nurses, because, you know, we always have a shortage of nurses. We have, so I've mentioned clinical medicine, nursing, health records and information system, health service support. We also have bridging. So if you met the overall grade, but there's a cluster of subjects you did not meet, maybe your biology ilienda combo kidogo, and this is what we're talking about, positive thinking. There's always hope. So maybe your mathematics or your biology or your chemistry ilikuangusha kidogo, you can come with us, bridge with us, and then now get into the nursing course you need, or I believe also clinical medicine can also get in through bridging. So don't give up. Of course, we have psychology, the clinical counseling psychology. And those are the courses that we have.
So is there an intake?
Yes, intake is ongoing. Our main intake is actually September. So we are still admitting for actually all the courses except nursing and clinical medicine, but every other course we are still admitting for it. And then our intakes are in January, May and September. Yes, so you've not missed much. We've only been teaching for about a month. So you can still come in and still catch up, and we are here to help you to catch up. So you don't have to wait until January. You can come in.
All right. And I see the numbers are on your screens. So if you need to call, if you want to join in for any of those courses, call the numbers, or you can email on the admissions at omc.ac.ke. Okay, check them out as well on their website www.omc.ac.ke and enroll today. It's very important, and as you said, if you've always wanted to be in the medical field and you feel like kuna grade kidogo ilikukosea mahali, Outspan makes it possible for you to actually do whatever you've been wanting to do, for you to pursue your dreams. Is it nursing, whatever it is, right? So just call them, and then there's someone who will talk to you, tell them about your grades. They'll tell you about how much you need to pay for it. They'll tell you about how long the course goes for. Yeah, so all that information utazipata hapo. Sawa sawa. So as we wind up on this particular topic, kuna mtu alikuwa ameuliza, is eating too much a sign of mental disorder?
It can be. And maybe expanding that question a little bit, is what I would like to encourage people is to invest in knowing who they are.
Okay.
Self-awareness. Know who you are and how you function yourself, as how you think, how you feel, how you function, how you deal with your things.
Yeah.
That can be like a baseline. This is who I am. This is how I function. This is how I think.
Yeah.
When you go outside of that, then that is an indicator that something might be happening around me that I need to pay attention to. So on a normal day, this is how I normally eat. Okay? Remember, I've started with self-awareness. Know who you are, know how you do things, how you normally eat, how you normally think, how unamkanga aje. You know, are you even a morning person, or you take a bit of time to get going? Ama when in night runner, so so usiku you're very alert, very awake, and you get a lot of things done. You know, know who you know who you are, because that becomes then like a baseline.
Okay.
Like, this is how I normally function.
Yeah.
So the first, sometimes what happens is that your body communicates to you before your mind. Okay? Like, your mind is trying to catch up with what is happening in your body, because we have an inbuilt system in our body that we call the fight or flight response. That is an inbuilt system that we are born with that helps us to deal with threats. Okay? So our body will go into this fight or flight to give us that a bit of energy so that we're able to deal with the issue. Just giving a very brief example is this fight or flight response is what helps us, like if right now we were to see fire or there's smoke somewhere, we start smelling it, we would really run. You've never run in your life. You don't even know what running is, but that time you might be the first one in the parking lot. So it's a natural system that is supposed to help us to be able to deal with threats. Now, in our day-to-day life, we don't really experience many threats like that. You know, fires and whatnot. It's not a normal occurrence the way it used to be kitambo. Ndio manake, lakini bado tuko na hiyo system. Ilikuwa inatusaidia sana kitambo tukiwa hunters and gatherers, to be able to identify where the threat is, and then now we are able to act. But the system is still with us. And this system does not know what is a real threat and what is perceived. Okay? So it will activate when you have an exam. Okay? It will activate when you have a conflict with someone who's important to you. It will activate when you have a goal that you need to meet and you're a bit worried, you know? And it will activate as if that is a real threat. Kama hiyo, fire and all this. However, there will be signs and symptoms in your body that maybe your mind is not being able to identify yet. You know, because maybe the way that my system has activated is now I'm sweating a lot, or I am feeling jittery, or I'm feeling restless, or I'm not being able to sleep, you know, because kuna ka energy flani na I'm not expending it, so I'm not being able to sleep. Ama juna expend your energy, restlessness, na nza kukula sana. Unaona? Because now I'm restless and all these, and restlessness requires energy, and you get energy from food. So naanza kukula sana juu niko na hii ka anxiety na ka restlessness, where I'm actually expending energy that is now requiring me to eat a lot. So when we learn how to pay attention to those signs, why am I eating a lot? This is not what I normally do. What has happened in my environment? What has changed in my environment that I might be perceiving as a threat to me, and I've now activated my fight or flight, and I'm dealing with it.
So from what I'm getting is that you need to really know yourself.
Yes.
Know your routine.
Yes.
Know how you deal with things normally.
Yes.
So that if it's outside those boundaries, now you'll realize that I need to.
Yes. I might
fix something.
Exactly.
Something is going wrong.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, as you've said before, this is such a wide topic, and I feel like we need a continuation of the same.
Yes.
To be also able to answer most of the questions ambazo zimetumwa, and you've not been able to answer them. But I know and I have seen that most of the questions ambazo zimetumwa, we have touched on them on the conversation that we've just had.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So if you feel like kuna question ambayo haijajibiwa, now we'll be giving you a number that they can call.
Yes.
There is?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll be giving you a number that you can call, or maybe a way that you can go about it. Okay? Also, we've talked about Outspan. Outspan, they have a rehab now, which is really beautiful. And they also have a hospital and, of course, a school, which you obviously know about. So if you need any of those services, the numbers are on the screen. So make sure you call, make sure you email. Please make sure that you get help. As from the very first step where you feel like things are not going okay, you have a bit of anxiety, you have a bit of stress here and there, make sure you call. If you don't have a therapist, then we have one here who can always be able to help you. All right? And as I've said before, if you're a student, make sure you enroll for these courses. There's a shortage, there's a gap in psychologists in Kenya. Okay, so be one of those people who is going to be helping the society, and you'll be living your purpose. Sawa sawa? Now, what would be your parting shot in a minute before you give us your number?
Okay, my parting shot is mental health is not for crazy. It's not about craziness.
Yeah.
It's not about having even a mental illness.
Yeah.
It is part and parcel of who we are. The same way we have a body, we have a spirit, we also have a mind.
Okay.
So, and that is mental health. And it is as simple as how you function every day. If you're able to wake up every day, you can take yourself to the bathroom and shower, you can have a breakfast, you can think about the clothes that you're wearing and how they look, and you're able to dress and, you know, get out of the house and greet people, then you're okay. You're mentally healthy. Okay. So it is not this big mysterious thing that needs to be hidden. The other thing that is maybe I would leave everybody with is invest in knowing who you are.
All right.
It's you can never go wrong. It's not an investment that you're going to lose. When you know who you are, when you know how you operate, then you're able to communicate that to the people around you, and they're then able to meet your needs the way that they need to meet your needs.
Okay.
But people cannot give you what they don't know that you need. So make an investment in knowing who you are. The same way that you wake up every morning and the first thing that you do is you read the Bible and you pray, you do a devotion. Just take a few minutes to journal, to write something, you know, about how you're feeling and what you're thinking, and maybe what you're investing there. Your investment in yourself is as simple as that. It can be as simple as just making a commitment. After ufanye your devotion, just take a notebook, a paragraph, write how you're thinking, how you're feeling, what your hopes are for the day. Just 3 questions in the morning. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? What do I hope for the day? As simple as that. And through that, you will establish your baseline, the baseline we're talking about, so that if something goes off of that, you're then able to note that for yourself, and then now you know what to do.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, my take home is about journaling.
Okay.
Because that's something that most people don't do.
Yes.
And we keep talking about mental health, self-care, and all that. But when it comes to actually journaling, that is where people draw the line.
Yes.
So start journaling.
Yeah.
It's very important for you. It's very important for me. It's very important for all of us. It doesn't have to be a whole page, as you said. It can be just a paragraph. So note down. what are you thinking? How's your thought pattern like? How are you feeling? What are you hoping for the day? It's very, very important, okay? So thank you so much, Catherine, for joining us today.
You're very
We do
welcome.
really appreciate. It has been an amazing conversation, and I know that we've really got to understand more about mental health and even more about ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah, and especially about kids. For those who have kids as well, you've been told that kids are not small
Little
adults.
Yes.
Yeah, they're kids. So please take care of their mental health as well. So Catherine is from Outspan, an amazing school, a hospital, and of course now they have a rehab. I'm really excited about that as well. Yeah. So we'll be having the numbers on the screen. Maybe you can have the numbers on the screen.
Yes. And
Yeah?
I can say it as
Okay.
well. Feel free to reach out to me if you have a question, a comment, anything.
Yeah.
My number is 0724 538 842.
07
24 538 842.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. So that's her number. And of course, you can always reach out to her. And tulikuwa tumepea pia numbers za Outspan. Please make sure that you reach out if you need anything. It's very important for you. It's very important for your mental health. Okay? So asante sana for coming once again.
Thank you so
We are
much.
looking forward to having you on this program again and again and again and again. Yeah. So once again, thank you so much for tuning in, for you as well. Now we'll be getting the health tip, and today we are talking about tikiti maji. Okay? So tikiti maji is also very important for your health. Leo tumesema hapa kwa Afya Clinic, we are making sure that you are healthy holistically, your mental health, your body, kila kitu yako iko sawa, so that even as you're looking forward to go about your daily activities and do other things, you are fully okay. All right? So we'll be getting that, and then we'll be coming back with the tips so that we can just get to see from our discussion today what is our take home. But also, if you have something else that you've gotten from today's discussion, please feel free to send us a message on 0721 105 105 on WhatsApp. Okay? So for your tips, please send them on WhatsApp 0721 105 105. So we'll be getting the health tips, and then we'll be coming right back. We've had Catherine all the way from Outspan. Thank you so much for making time. Thank you so much for traveling. We do appreciate.
Karibuni sana.
Yes.
Happy to be here.
Asante.
Happy to come back.
Asante. Perfecto. Now let's get the health tips, and then we'll be coming right back for the tips.
Leo mtazamaji wangu, katika makala ya Afya Tips tutakuwa tukiangazia faida za tunda la tikiti maji, ama ukipenda watermelon. Tunda la mtikiti maji ni moja kati ya matunda muhimu sana katika afya ya mwanadamu kutokana na madini yaliyo ndani yake. Unapokula tikiti maji utafaidi protini, utapata pale calcium, phosphorus, iron, vitamin A, B6 na C, potassium, magnesium, carotene, mafuta, nyuzi ama fiber na madini mengineo. Pia mwili utapata nguvu za kupambana na maradhi na kukuondoa katika hali hatari. Virutubisho vinavyopatikana kwenye tikiti maji ni mahususi kwa ajili ya moyo pamoja na mishipa yake. Hizi ndizo faida za tikiti maji endapo utayala matunda ama kunywa juice yake. Kwanza, huondoa sumu katika mwili. Tikiti maji lina vitamin C ambayo husaidia kuboresha kinga, kuponya majeraha, kukinga uharibifu wa seli, kuboresha afya meno na fizi, na vitamin B6 inayosaidia ubongo kufanya kazi na pia kuibadilisha protini kuwa nishati. Pili, husaidia kupunguza shinikizo la damu. Virutubisho vinavyopatikana kwenye tikiti maji ni mahususi kwa ajili ya moyo pamoja na mishipa yake. Ulaji kwa wingi wa tikiti maji husaidia mzunguko wa damu kwenda vizuri bila matatizo yoyote. Tatu, husafisha figo. Tikiti maji lina uwezo wa kusaidia kuondoa maji yasiyofaa mwilini kupitia mkojo bila ya kufanyiza figo kazi nzito ilivyo kwa kafeini. 4, husaidia kurejesha maji yaliyotoweka mwilini. 92% la tunda hili ni maji, ambayo mara nyingi ni chaguo nzuri kwa wagonjwa wenye upungufu wa maji mwilini. Kwa hivyo, njia nyingine ya kuongeza maji mwilini ni kula tikiti maji. 5, husaidia kupunguza unene. Tikiti maji lina kiwango kidogo sana cha kalori, lakini kina kiwango kikubwa cha maji. Hivyo mtu anayetaka kupunguza uzito wa mwili linaweza kumsaidia kwa kula kwa wingi, ambapo atakuwa anajisikia tumbo kujaa lakini bila kuwa ameshiba sana. Hivyo huwa rahisi kwake kujizuia kula vyakula vingine hata kama kutwa nzima na bila kuathirika kiafya. 6. Husaidia kudumisha afya ya macho. Tunda hili ni chanzo kizuri cha vitamin, na katika tikiti maji kuna vitamin A inayosaidia kuboresha afya ya macho na pia kuondosha sumu mwilini. 7. Husaidia kuponesha vidonda. Tikiti maji husaidia afya ya ngozi kwa kuwa lina vitamin A na C, na vitamin A husaidia katika ukuaji wa tishu za mwili zikiwemo ngozi na nywele, huku vitamin C ikisaidia katika utengenezaji wa collagen mwilini na husaidia kupona haraka kwa tishu zilizo na majeraha ikiwemo ngozi. Husaidia katika mmeng'enyo wa chakula. Tunda hili ni muhimu katika kurekebisha mmeng'enyo wa chakula kwa kuwa lina kiasi kikubwa cha maji na fiber ambazo husaidia kuondoa matatizo ya kukosa choo na kuboresha mmeng'enyo wa chakula tumboni. Kumbuka, tikiti maji si lishe iliyokamilika kuliwa pekee, na si tiba itakayokufanya kupuuza kufuata ushauri wa daktari. Ni vyema kuhakikisha unakula mlo uliokamilika ili kujenga afya bora. Na unapopata matatizo mbalimbali ya kiafya, ni jambo la busara kumwona mtaalamu wa afya kwa ajili ya kutafuta ushauri na kupata tiba iliyo sahihi kwa tatizo ulilo nalo. Tupatane Jumatano ijayo katika makala ya Afya Tips. Jina langu ni Perpetual Nyambura.